Is it still very hard to attract people?
It is very hard. And to be honest, we've had individuals within the SDP who are very talented, very capable, but they work for organizations which either get government contracts or there's actually an individual, she was very active in the SDP, and she said that she was told by people in her organization that they are grassroots leaders and they don't think that it's appropriate for her to be involved in an opposition party. I said, that's ridiculous. I said, you should complain. But she said, they're the senior management. And she said, who am I going to complain to? That was the most blatant. But it's similar to the self-censorship argument, you see, that even though the government doesn't, sack people because they're involved in opposition politics, there's often that perception of that.
But the question always is that perception warranted?
But people still remember Dr. Chi. See, and the fact that he lost his job in 1992, and there's
But that was in 1992.
Correct.
Some might say things are different now.
It was kind of challenging. Lots of well-meaning people said to me, "Oh, you have to be careful." And it was very funny. Every time I went to Mount Elizabeth to visit a friend, people would say, "Oh, you're looking to buy a clinic, are you?" And they thought my days in the university were numbered. And I think that when I got my promotion in 2013 to full professor with tenure, I mean, everybody was pretty shocked.
You were worried about being sacked, though. You mentioned this before.
I mean, I was initially, but I was tremendously reassured by the senior leadership of the university, and they were very. I don't want to implicate them by saying that they were supportive, but they
that would be considered implicating them.
Well, I think in the climate that we live in, like I said, you have to be so careful. You walk on eggshells.
Why do you feel that way still?
I think you feel that way because the government hasn't actively gone out to dispel this idea. See, the government went out to, and every time, say, the Workers' Party asked a question in Parliament, they turned around, the way I treat a student who asks a question, say, oh, that's a really good question, and then you start to deal with it. Instead of which they turn around and they chide them. Then that's the way the media portrays it, you see. That a simple question that, for example, if you don't have, all the information and you ask a question, then you're slammed and you're made to apologize like Sylvia Lim was. And that sort of puts a certain amount of fear into individuals, and like I said, you see, I'm afraid that if I say somebody is supporting me, then they might get afraid that they're going to get chided or that something's going to happen to them. It's probably not true, but that kind of environment is built up by a series of actions which are demonstrated again and again.
One could say that within the context of Parliament, though, where there is the ruling party and there are opposition parties, that is par for the course to prove that your policies are the best, to defend your policies, and in that process, should we really expect charity and remarks like, that's a great question?
There has to be, I think, some degree of balance, because otherwise it's going to backfire. Like, for example, the whole Sylvia Lim episode, I think the consensus is that it backfired. You see, it won Sylvia a lot of sympathy points. You see, the fact that, people are trying to make her apologize for asking an honest question. You can say that her question is a stupid question. You can try and criticize her for that, but trying to make her apologize for asking a question, seems to be a little bit like shooting yourself in the foot, see, because it makes you come across like a bully.
Often the PAP ministers and MPs would say, if you raise an issue that seems to cast aspersions on our intentions for the citizens of Singapore, we have to defend it. We have to make sure that these ideas are not allowed to propagate within society. So that's their way of doing it. How would you have handled it?
Yeah, I'm a medical doctor. And even though I'm an infectious disease doctor, I do general medicine sometimes. You see. And in general medicine, sometimes we deal with individuals who have paranoia. And these people, you ask them a simple question, and then they think they're out there to take away their life and to destroy their home and their family, And again, that's an extreme example, but that seems to be the PAP's approach to people who are asking innocent and relatively straightforward questions. In a parliamentary democracy, if somebody asks you a question, you can make fun of them, you can answer the question, you can make them look really small or really silly, but to treat every question as an attack on your own personal integrity, I mean, to me, that's bordering a little bit on the paranoid.